say discussion.
Discussion?
I have a question about something that was done that we said in the minutes last month, and I'm just curious what repercussions it could have in the long run. The lady that was in talking about wanting to get more information at the skate park.
Yeah, Lisa
project.
Brooks.
Yeah, Lisa Brook. The next thing we do is turn around and she had a giant mural painted. And then we got a note today that they're thinking that they can do concrete work in there. And so my question is that going to make the concrete work harder?
No,
Or
from
what
what I
went on
understood.
with it?
From what I understood, is the paint is not permanent. It was just a display of, to kind of show what it would look like. Is that right?
The city's paid nothing, nobody's paid anything for the paint. And so it comes and goes just like art, this type of art does. But I do not think there's much concrete work to be done over in that area so much. I think most of the work is the coping that's kind of forward of that big bowl, more in the middle of the saddle, in between the two bowls.
Yeah, I went and looked at the artwork. It's really neat.
It is, it's
It
beautiful. I
was
just
kind
think
of
we
shocking
should have
to
waited
see
a
it
little
there
bit.
right off the bat. It was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, we didn't okay this.
Howie, a couple things, and that was going to be in my report. So what happened was on one of our council meetings, we had about 25 kids here, and Lisa was here, and everyone was talking about the skate park falling apart, and basically it's dangerous. Well, it hasn't had maintenance in. Dad, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 years to 7 years ago, and it's only had maintenance once that's been patched. The guy who patched that is, and it's held up pretty well in all these years, 20 years or something like that. Yeah, 20 years old, and it's been patched once. So the guy who patched it is a local concrete guy, and so after the kids testified, and this is real important because if they testify and they say it's unsafe, and they're bringing it to our attention, we do nothing, then we are
Oh, yeah.
very liable for ourselves and mostly their safety.
Okay, Doug, just before we go any farther here, when you give your report, you're gonna discuss this?
Yes, it will.
Okay, so let's just.
Okay, and then I just wanted to
Let's-
tell Howie that, so if it starts to kind of, if you understand the reason why behind everything, then, okay.
Yeah, let's come back to that
Don't blindside
at the
us all.
appropriate time, because I can see that how it's, yeah, okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, topics from the floor.
Hi again, I'm Lisa Brook. I'm a member of the Arts and Culture Commission, and firstly, I just want to thank the parks for accepting the free little library that was installed in Grey Cliffs Park a couple weeks ago. We had a little turnout for the ribbon cutting, but it was exciting, and we got a story in the paper, and I thought it was a great opportunity to have a partnership with parks. And so the ACC thanks you guys, and we look forward to trying to place some other ones that we have coming down the pipeline in the future. And then I came here for my spanking about the mural. I happen to be on the East Coast, and that kid, he kept sending me pictures, and I was in Virginia going, shit. It's so big. The mural was a lot bigger than I thought. He definitely used the opportunity to go hog wild for his own, his own portfolio. But it is true that it's always been said about this type of street art that it's a process that is sometimes layered upon. You know, it's not graffiti. It's a step up from graffiti. It's not being tagged. It's a step up from being tagged. But the thing that I had asked for permission from Neil, and I know Neil did not expect it to be this big either. It was just a communication device to lead people to go to the Instagram account, which has been extremely successful.
That's how I found out about it. I saw it and I was like, whoa, I missed one meeting and holy cow.
I got
But
the
it's
paper
super
Friday and was
cool.
just
I mean, it's really
shocked.
neat.
I actually went there
Yeah, I
the
think
day
it's
you did it.
awesome.
After you guys were done with it, someone called me on the phone and said, hey, you might want to go check out the skate park. And so I flew down there and was like, whoa.
Well, then what happened was serendipity that one of the guys, well, that 19-year-old kid was painting. Some local guy that just bought a house here a year ago from Portland is a professional videographer. He ended up taking videos and creating a piece to go on Instagram that's like a 30-second video spewing about St. Helens Skate Park 2019 improvements and blah, blah, blah. So it has actually really served its purpose. But I do apologize for not being really clear about the size, and I do understand that there could have been some flack for it, and that
I'm just afraid there still could be when people see patching or something go on, and why would you do that first before you do your patching?
I think it's just a display of showing what it's going to look like.
yeah,
Hey, Lisa, I appreciate you
Yeah,
coming down here and telling us that. I know that Councilman Morton and myself, we were reprimanded for cutting trees down in one of the parks one time, so, and I don't even think we apologized, but.
Well, that was the park that was on private property.
Yeah, right. But thank you for that, and I understand, the only thing I think that, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but, is that, we thought it should go through the council, not necessarily us, but at least go through the council before it's done.
because it does meet the criteria for public art. It's bigger than 24 inches by 24 inches.
Yeah,
Which is what is defined as public art, which does require a process of approval.
Sure.
But it looks really nice.
Oh, it does.
really
It
And
is.
the kids that were there, I talked to them probably a good hour and a half.
It fired the kids up.
And that's exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
getting the awareness out
Yeah.
there about it, and if it drives more people to go and
Yeah.
see it, I think that's really
The
good.
kids that had the taco idea was there talking to me about it too.
So then the last thing that I wanted to tell you about was just like Doug was alluding to, we had a really great showing. And I think I might have mentioned it to you, but I mentioned it to City Council that when I know I've succeeded is when I don't get phone calls from the paper, that I don't have my picture anywhere, that it's really on the shoulders of the kids, and particularly Jordan Barlow has stepped forward as in a leadership role, and he has gathered the troops, and we've got about 15 to 18 very, very strong guys that are sort of, I can't say kids anymore because they're about 23 to 35, and
To me, they're still kids.
they're very focused. A lot of them remember the park when it opened, and they know that they're interested and that they're in the process of developing partnerships with the ACC, with the Youth Council, which is unanimously voted to support the skate park project in wherever it goes, and with the Parks Commission. And these folks are very aware of the fundraising that it's going to take privately to make some dreams happen, and they're invested time-wise. We talked a lot about the 20th anniversary being a big deal this year and trying to capitalize on that, but we all could see pretty clearly that the money that we have right now is not going to go very far, and they're very inspired for fundraising and for having this summer a birthday party for the skate park that celebrates the 20th anniversary of the opening of the park and utilizes that as just a generator of more buzz for fundraising purposes. So it's a goal to have a party there this summer. and it's whether it's in conjunction with Citizen Day or I don't know what. I basically threw it out to the council that y'all tell us a good Saturday, or it could be Sunday, in the summer that you want us to have an activity down there, an all-day activity with bands. I mean, I've got kids coming saying, not kids, 30-year-old guys saying, we've got 3 bands ready to go down there. And I'm like, oh, there's a street party waiting to happen. So you guys just tell us when we can do it, and we will conform to whatever your schedule is and whatever day you give us. But the kids are in it for the long haul.
Well, one of the things that Doug and I, the council's report's next. Did you talk to Paul Marlowe about a subcommittee?
My report.
Okay.
I was gonna say, I think we still have open positions on our commission, right? Don't we? Have a couple? Yeah, so I was,
To have
I think it
one
would be
of
great
them.
if they're in it for the long haul and this isn't just like a
Mhm.
short-term thing. It would be great to have representation.
I think
on
coming to
commission.
the city council and speaking at the microphone was the first time for almost all of them, if not all of them.
See if anyone are interested in joining the Parks Commission.
Yeah, I will. Thank
Because
you.
then they have a say. I mean, then they're
Mhm.
really involved.
Yeah, so thank you very much for your support, and I'm willing to take any responsibility for whoever's not happy. I really did feel like when I was on the other side of the country that it was possibly putting my role with the ACC on the line, and I just decided that I guess I was okay with that. I'm a little bit of a rule breaker, or as Doug says, unbridled enthusiasm. Unbridled, might be.
Sorry, it just,
I don't know if you got that email or not.
As in-
Supposed to get to you. I sent it to Matt Brown, and he sent it to the Parks Commission and to you, a few others.
Anyway, I am sorry for how big it ended up being. It's also fantastic,
oh yeah,
so it's
don't-
like,
don't get me wrong, it's just
Yeah.
procedure, and it just
Yeah.
reminded me of some of the few things that happened over at the disc golf course about things that people kind of were given permission to look into something, and next thing you know, they're done, or they've carved on a tree, and
Right.
Okay,
that's why.
Lisa, do you have anything else you'd like
no,
to say?
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, counselor's report, Mr. Morton. Councilman Morton.
Well, thank you. Well, Lisa has got to be congratulated and for spearheading those efforts, and she comes from the Arts and Cultural Commission, and I just like the collaboration between the of the various commissions. I think that speaks well for our community and our volunteers, and proud of that. Very nice. Thank you. Shift gears just a bit, but maybe I'll take off on your comments about it's a good time. We're short to several people. I asked, got a hold of Paul Barlow and asked him if he could involve more bicycle and pedestrian people on the Parks Commission to fill the void. At least one, because we're 2 down, but at least one, so that, and then so that we just have more representation with what we're doing with our trails and our transportation to and from parks. And he was very interested in that. So he said yes, and then I didn't stop there, because I asked him if he could head up the committee to look at the skate park and the BMX track, because it's all deals with riders in that area, and see if he could kind of like bring things together over there in terms of a vision of what he sees, and how the skateboard people can work with the BMX people, and the BMX people could work with them in tandem, see what we do with expansion, repairs, and beautification of that whole area in there. It'd be kind of nice to have a committee of individuals have ownership and be extremely good stakeholders in that area. I think it's important. The more adults we have around the area, the better it's going to function. The more people we have there. And there, there was testimony in the evening for the council that there's a perception that kids who hang out at the skate park are just nothing but a bunch of trouble. And this grown up came in and said, you know, and my perception is totally different. And we've got to, the parks are here for the kids, and we've got to put our best effort forward, I believe. So that's why I asked Paul to kind of spearhead that, because he had the BMX tracks has events practically every weekend. That, correct me if I'm wrong, is in the summer months, they're going practically every weekend. Is that correct?
Last year, not so much. They have events, but not major ones. They had one big one every year that brings in people from all over. It was kind of a state meet that they have. And we close off the park entrance at that time every year. But most of the time, there's somebody on that track in the summertime every day. I mean, whether they're having events or not, there's kids riding that. And people with remote control cars using it, which is kind of fun to watch. But anyhow, that's it's well used. There's any doubt about it.
I saw bicycle tracks on the little bit of snow that was there this morning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's kind of my report on getting more people on commission and where the emphasis could be at this point, because we're looking at that to refine it and get it completed in a sense.
Mike?
And a skate park party. We talked just briefly about that, maybe after you left or maybe while we were here, but the mayor got all excited about that, and he wants to combine it with his Citizens Day in the park, possibly. And in that sense, then it's just massive amount of people in that park at that time, and that's what he wants. He wants a lot of enthusiasm. He wants a lot of things going on. And if you were at that Citizens Day at the park, things move in certain time segments. It just isn't like lunch and that's it, or barbecue and that's it. It's kind of like develops through the day. And he saw that as an opportunity to add to his Citizens Day of the park, whatever. And so it could be, but there's time to work with that anyway.
With the Citizens Day in the park, should the Parks Commission maybe have a table there and talk about our local parks and have our new brochure and that type of thing?
Man, you guys get out your old silk screen thing and start making some T-shirts, Howie. You know.
I wish I knew how. I got all the stuff in the basement.
Exactly.
No,
I
shop moved out.
I remember
and all
those
that
days.
stuff. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, we don't have any Friends of Parks T-shirts, do we?
No.
Ooh, big opportunity. Yeah. See
Found that one.
See what you can do. All right. And Sand Island.
I've got hundreds of black ones right now.
Sand Island, and I always get excited about the waterfront and, of course, Sand Island. And I just came here from St. Helens Marina. Brad, the manager there, the person who is going to oversee Sand Island in a lease agreement with the city, save the city a lot of money. Hopefully, open it up to our citizens so he can shuttle our citizens over there so that they can camp or use it as day use. And he's going to put a lot of effort into running the camping area like a state park. That's his model.
Doug, what's Brad's last name again?
Hendrickson. So he's pretty excited about that because it's the attorneys really drug their feet in being responsible. Our attorney, the city's attorney, did, and so he's no longer with that firm, and so he got replaced, and then things started to move. So I'm very excited.
So Doug, where is that at with the city council? Has there been a contract presented?
Once the contract is presented, then it gets signed. But there's five individuals who moved it forward on the council.
Okay. So it's in the, okay, so it's probably gonna happen then.
It will happen.
Do we have an idea of time frame? Is it gonna happen ahead of
This
summer?
summer.
Okay, but well
Eh.
in advance of summer to be able to.
Oh, I
capitalize on
think
the
that,
whole
I would think that in the next 6 weeks for sure, because it has to come to council. Council needs to acknowledge it and the contract, and then it'll go forward. And at that time, Brad will start digging out campsites over on Sand Island.
Awesome.
And the shuttle to me is exciting because that opens up camping to our citizens, and you don't have to be a boat owner. And we tried that before with a free shuttle, and it just got out of hand, and there wasn't anyone to oversee it. It just got out of hand, and it didn't work. It was extremely successful for some people, and it was not successful at all. It ended up with dock fights and everything else. But Brad will be in charge of the whole thing. So
Now,
And he's charging, we know he's charging for that, so.
he will charge for it. And then he will give a certain percentage back to the city, back to the parks. And then that's how he sees his business enterprise succeeding.
how expensive of sites do you think they'll be, or
How expensive what?
are the tent sites going to be on the island?
The sites will probably be somewhere between, like a state park. Now, state parks are what, 35? 25 or 30, something like that. He says he'd keep up, he'd do it with the same as the state parks.
So Doug, you said that the city was gonna get part of the part
That's
of the
correct.
profits that are made from the shuttle. How about for the campsites? Is there a percentage?
That's
on it?
correct. And then get this is what else he does. So yeah, you see, they'll do all of that. Then he will go, we have a big problem with derelict boats. And so he will go out and everyone who is over on that dockage over there on Sand Island, he will take $1 fee per night. And if he's checked with the Marine Board, then $1 is like a registration fee. So he'll write down their tags on their, like a license plate, okay, on the boat. And so then he has some accountability if something goes wrong. And people who are going to pay $1 won't be people who are coming in and looking for a place to hole up for the whole summer, the entire summer. So it's just like doing a lot of things. And he'll come over and he'll do this marina here as well. So he'll make the round every day to keep track of who's here.
One thing, Doug, that just entered my mind is maybe that could be I'm just throwing this out here, maybe it could be incremental. You know, the first 10 nights they're there, 5 nights or whatever, it's $1, and then the next time, the next 5 times it increases, and then it increases. And that might discourage people from being there for long term.
Well, Neil, or Thad, can you enlighten Jerry on what the time increments are on the
But if
marina?
they leave and come back, it starts all over again, was my understanding.
Yeah, they can only be there 10 days within a 30-day period, I believe. So it's not like you can leave one day and come back and stay another 10 days.
Okay.
Steve?
And
I know we
also,
talked
I was
about
going
this
to
in the-
mention
in the
that John
past.
Walsh is in talks with the Marine Board about charging some fees down here at this.
So what happens when a person exceeds the 10 days or the 30?
They get cited.
See, Brad will be on top of that now.
About $300 ticket. We just had one of them cited here the other day.
Well, that's a little more than incremental.
Right now, we keep track of all
Okay.
with the.
I thought that, what I remembered was that if a person came and stayed for 2 or 3 days, they left for 2 or 3 days, they came back, the whole thing started over again.
We did have that problem
Long time ago.
5 years
7
ago.
years ago, and then we changed some language in the
Okay.
ordinance and stuff to get rid of that. One of our biggest problems is right now is several of these people have been cited, but they're not paying. And right now, there's no really good way to tow a boat. And So, the police chief's working, I think, with the sheriff's department right now and some other people trying to figure out how to actually tow their boat and take them.
That's a good
If they
thing.
don't, if
That's
they
a
don't
good
pay
thing.
their
That's a
tickets.
good thing.
You said that a percentage is gonna go back to parks?
Yes.
Is it going to the city or is it going to parks?
We're going to try to get it to Parks, and Matt has helped us out with that, Matt
Awesome.
Brown.
Okay, and then is it gonna be allocated to improving Sand Island or just parks in general? Or
I'm not
one?
certain on that. I don't think all of it will go to improving Sand Island, because that's Brad Hendrickson's, that's his investment.
Okay,
And there's language then when the lease, some of the problems were when a lease expires in 10 or 20 years, and that was a sticking point for a bit. I believe it's to 20 years now. And if he puts Yerkes over there, and if he puts all this investment over there, then he'll want to, when that expires, he'll want to get that investment back. And the city would have first rights in terms of doing that. And there's language in there, so it's kind of sticky. And that's why it has taken so long, and it's to a point where everyone's happy about it. And we'll be glad to go over it once it's all signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yeah, I'd like, to-
Yeah.
I'm really curious about what percentage that the city gets if it's, if it's a sweetheart. I mean, I think it should be a sweetheart deal for Brad for the first few years until he gets set. And I don't know, again, incremental after 5 years, then, maybe the payment goes up. But anyway, you guys have made that decision, so it's done. But I would like to know about it.
So Thad kind of worked out some figures, I think, at one time of how much money the parks people spend going over there and picking up the trash and doing all this other stuff. And I don't know what that figure was, but it was in the thousands, 28,000 or something like that.
I think it was a little over 30 altogether.
Per year?
Yeah.
So there's a savings to the city there. And then at the same time, there's a win-win by the citizens being able to use that park as well as boaters from the outside.
But it really would be nice if we got some money to work on other parks,
We'll see what we'll see what that figure is. I can't comment on that right now.
Now,
But that is in there, Doug, right? I mean,
It is in there,
There is
yes.
actually some kind of monitoring.
Yes.
and when that gets finalized, can you send like a notification to all of us, just so we know?
Oh,
when
they'll
it's
be,
gonna
we'll talk about it. We'll do a
Okay.
report here. And
Okay, perfect.
kind of my style is to get the Parks Commission to give the city council recommendation. We already had that to go forward on it.
Yep,
But we'll see how that goes. If we can get a commission meeting right before a council meeting, when that could be reviewed and okayed,
okay.
it'd be super.
I've only got one more comment on that, and that is, I know some of the problems we had when we had our own shuttle running over there, that people were taking so much alcohol over there. Is there gonna be some type of control to keep that from happening? I mean, it's a city park, is an alcohol banned in city parks? How does that all play out?
I'm not-
That's a question.
Go ahead.
Not Sand Island. Sand Island's the only city park that doesn't have that rule.
Because I know that was quite a problem with it the last time.
Yeah, it's because there's nobody watching the stores, basically, so now
I have no
hopefully,
problems as long as.
now hopefully you got somebody that's
Responsibly.
gonna be watching that.
We don't own all of Sand Island.
Yeah, we do.
No.
All of it?
Well,
No.
the Marine Board has given Brad, or given the city, jurisdiction over managing it. So
Well, I know on
The
the
dredge
farm-
spoils
the
is
survey
banned.
I know on the
stakes
farm, there'll
move.
be a lot of fishermen over there.
Yeah, the survey stakes move depending on how much sand that they put on whatever. So that's Brad's problem. He'll deal with that.
So I did have one question. Someone asked me at the dog park, they heard about the shuttle and, I guess it's kind of a funny question, but she was wondering if, as people go out there, will dogs be allowed in the
Of
shuttle
course.
too? Okay.
That's the first question I asked Brad about where the day use is.
Yeah,
And how is he going to, what's his kind of his approach in policing the day use and whatever. And so day use will be day use. And so they'll have to get the shuttle back if they're not camping. If they're camping, they'll have to pay the bucks to camp. And I do believe the dogs will be on leash around the campsite, just like a state park. But I think on the beaches, it'll be dogs go crazy.
Well, the state park charges like $5 per night.
So Brad won't miss a beat. Don't say that too loud.
My dog's with me when I can.
Should have tried the standard version. wasn't it?
So the answer to that question is, I'm sure there'll be no problem with that.
Good, okay.
As long as
I'll
you
let
pay
him
the
know.
money.
Yeah. Well, that's it, we gotta keep it affordable for our citizens
Yeah.
too, though. That's the other important.
So I want to finish up my report on saying that things are coming along on Veterans Park down there, and it looks like the date. I just talked to Andrew Nemi maybe last week, and he suggested that that's all going to be finished by, I think the target date is in June. So we'll look forward to that. And there's some insurance things because some things got broken in the construction and all of that as we're moving forward in constructing that park. So that's good news. And what I wanted to do is really congratulate our city engineer, Sue Nelson, and Neil and Thad for doing all their good work down at Great Cliff Waterfront Park. So we got the restrooms there that are under combination. So far, they're clean and tidy. The place is really nice. Might want to update on paving, parking lot.
Yeah, we just got that paving contract approved. I believe it's gone through council. Did it go through council this last
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
So, yep, hopefully some nice weather. We'll have that paved this spring sometime.
One thing I asked your chairman to accomplish, if he could, was take a field trip because it'd be such a nice walk on a nice day to go down to Great Cliffs Waterfront Park and figure out and this was kind of the homework of everyone too, is figure out, kind of brainstorm all the things that can happen down there. But to see the lay of to see the lay of the land is important, and how far down it goes downriver, and how far out in the water it goes. So a field trip would be, I think, pretty important to do that. You can talk about it a little today. I don't know if we really need that today because there isn't a lot of people here. Maybe we could.
No, we're gonna talk about it.
Got it.
We got that on the agenda and we're gonna do it. We can do it again some other time too.
That's you, Mr. Belcher. Thank you very much.
Before you get away, did you want to talk about the contract? Because these people got sent the email today, but it was kind of late. The one you had Matt do for the repairs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The skate park, the skate park repairs, and so what happened, and I have to apologize to Neil and Thad about doing that, but I anticipated the skaters coming in, and I wanted to. And I apologize to you for micromanaging that and just saying, hey, I know the concrete guy who did that prior. It'd be good to get a hold of him and get this going as soon as possible. Well, that was neither here nor there because he's got to wait until the weather changes before he does his patching. But it's in writing. And are we liable if it's in writing that we're in the process of patching it up? I think that covers us in some senses. But I wanted that to happen, and I wanted it to happen soon and as fast as possible. So we got him, and the city. If I think Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's $5,000 a limit. So if anything comes in at a bid under $5,000, you don't need to send out for requests for proposals, which can take 6 weeks or 7 weeks or 8 weeks for people to bid on it and come back and then select it and then figure out a lot of things. This guy did it. This guy did it before. He says, yeah, I can do it again. No problem. And so he gave us a number to do that, and it is under $5,000.
Well, I do have a question on that. So, if the skate park is dangerous right now, should we leave it open while it's in the process of getting repaired? So if someone goes, so we've been told that it's not safe. We were told that last week. We were told that today it's not safe. So if someone goes down there and gets injured because the skate park hasn't been repaired and it's not safe, is the city liable for that? Especially since we've been talking about it in public meetings.
I think we need to,
Do we need to close the park? and
no,
get this done?
we do not need to close the park. I'd hate to see that. And so it's what I'd like to see is a sign or two put up saying, go at your own risk. There are divots and repair work will be coming shortly.
So do we need to make a motion on that then and discuss it?
Can I interject one thing, that there is a sign already, there's 4 signs that say such a thing.
Good.
You skate at your own risk. But in terms of putting up anything else to exceptionally cover the city, you could take spray paint of an emergency color like the bright orange and just hit the areas that are crumbling that could be an issue. That's something that you could do to cover yourself a little bit.
Okay,
But 4 signs there do say skate at your own risk already.
good, good.
Pretty elaborate.
Yeah, okay. I think we can do that. Wait till we get a dry spell here so the paint sticks, right? Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Well, there's new business, and if there's new business that's, can we, Sue, Sherry, can we do new business that's not listed here? We can do it under discussion, okay.
I just wanted to add one thing to what Doug said, and that is that the city council has dedicated ongoing maintenance money of $2,000 a year.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah,
just in addition
we're
to.
looking at that until, it's what we'll talk about. Yes, we'll talk about it at council, and from all the council people that I've talked to individually, they are proactive in taking care of what we have and making certain that that gets done. So that number, I don't know if it came with how valid that $2,000 number is or whatever, but we'll talk more about it and with the concrete guy and with what needs to happen as well. Yeah.
Okay, new business. Last time, we were all given a mission to make a list of 5. I'll go first. I didn't write them down. But one thing I'd like to see at one of my high priorities at Gray Cliffs would be a floating walkway down at the far end where the piling is. And the reason, and we can say why for our first 2 items, is that I think it would allow people to, get on a kayak, a canoe, to use that area that's public, that's not a dock or so. The second thing I'd like to see done was I'd like to see a view area developed at the top on the cliff up there. I think that's one of the nicest public viewing areas around. I mean, there's some private ones that are pretty cool, but you can see Sand Island, you can see Savi's Island, you can see Mount St. Helens, you can see Mount Hood, you can see the old courthouse, you can see the marina, and on a beautiful day, there's not hardly a more beautiful place around than that. Other things I'd like to see done, I'd like to see the trail improved. I don't know if that's really in order, but for the urban trail, I got an interest there. Also, I'd like to see some sand, dumped, down by, look at that, some sand, down by the walkway, or so that people can, have like a beach in the summertime. And the other thing I'd like to see is seeing the part of that dog park, the off-leash dog park up above be fenced in. Those would be my 5 recommendations. And there's lots of other things that could be done. Who would like to go next? How will you go? Okay.
I guess I will. So for my 5, the first thing I thought would be nice to have, if we can't afford a fence, just some kind of visual barrier so the dogs can, see that they can't go past that and, fall down the cliff. It would be nice to have a sign in the parking lot kind of directing people to the off-leash area. And maybe widening the path that goes up that way. And it would be nice to have maybe a community bulletin board, in the dog park or near the dog park where, because I know a lot of, the folks that come to camp in our town, down by the marina, they take their dogs there, and it would be nice to have a bulletin board so they can see, oh, these events are happening, let's, walk down there. And I don't know if it's possible, but maybe have running water to the park so that in the summertime dogs can get,
Got that.
A dog drink,
yeah, get water,
so they don't use the drinking fountain in the restroom?
or the river, yeah.
Sherry, did you get all of that by chance? Did you get all her testimony? Okay.
Who would like to go next?
Okay, I will. I'll wrap all of them in one. That park has madrones in it that are getting overgrown with blackberries and ivy and some of the fir trees. We don't have a lot of parks here, I don't think, that have stands of madrones. I think there's at least 5 or 6 madrones in there on the hill between the dog park and Lower, so I'm thinking that we should start trying to get that area cleaned up. I would also like to see if we could get the dumping at the top of the hill if we're talking about having a view area. There's a couple of spots up on top where neighbors have been dumping for years and years and years. They just go to the edge. There's one that's probably almost 40 to 50 feet in length, and you can see it's still getting fresh stuff. And it's right above the trail that we want to develop that comes up the hill. And so, I mean, things always slowly work down the hill, and I mean, maybe it was cool at one time to dump, but this stuff must be 4 or 5 feet deep in some spots at least, what they're like, just keep dumping off this.
I just had a conversation with one of the residents up there the other day that, I told them they needed to stop doing that, because one of the other residents up there was complaining about it that's new in the neighborhood,
Okay.
just so you know.
Okay, like to see the trail to the top. I mean, that could involve a few different things. I mean, in a way, could it be a newer type staircase? Is there a grant that we could get to get a better trail up there since that one is narrow in a couple of spots, but try to get a grant for that. I like the idea of the human-powered boat ramp. I'd also like to see no smoking signs posted in there. I'm looking forwards to it being paved so I can start to pick up cigarette butts off the pavement. It's exceptionally hard to pick that many up out of the gravel. I noticed the other day that on one of the concrete blocks there was like 15 cigarettes put out on, which was just disgusting that we have a beautiful park and that's a real high cigarette butt area. I don't know if you guys know, but every 4 to 6 weeks I go around the city and pick up cigarette butts, and that is a real hot spot down there.
I just want to comment and interrupt you just for a second and comment about this. One of the things that I'd like to see in every park is a listing of our ordinances of what's allowed in our parks, so we don't have to post know this and know that and know this everywhere in the park. It's there at the entryway at a kiosk, which you brought up, and that should do it.
Yep, and
It's-
then the rules too, because I mean, I believe, well, at least the old park brochure said that in the park, you're only supposed to
Right.
have your dog on a 5-foot leash. So you have a lot of people that 16 feet out and they're running their dogs,
Hey,
so.
don't point fingers, huh?
I've actually had to start walking with a stick because I'm getting afraid of some dogs. People that have young dogs and they go, oh, it's just a puppy. Well, sorry, I don't want a dog running up to me barking. So, that's,
Is that it, Howie?
yeah, for that, I got other things I'll bring up at the other comment area.
Carmen, you're next. We're gonna save Jacob
Yeah.
for last.
My number one is getting that trail updated, because if we're gonna have the urban trail going through it, then I think we need to have it safer. And then it also gives easier access to the park from the people who are up on that hillside. So that whole area up there, it's a lot easier to get down there. So that's my number one. My number two is signage. There's not a lot of signage pointing people that there's even a park back there. So I think that's really important to get people going back there. I had the paving the parking area, but that's already getting done. And then
You get a free one now.
Yahoo! I like your floating dock idea. But my other ones were the dog park, getting that fenced. I think that's important. And then also having more of a picnic area. It's kind of spruced up down there.
Or up above also, because Doug
Yeah.
mentioned having half of that as a fenced park, fenced dog park. I know I'm butting in here, but, and then
No,
half
that's
of it as a picnic area.
Yeah.
So people can watch their dogs or whatever.
That would be nice. Those are
Is
mine.
that it, Carmen?
That's what I've got.
Okay, Jacob,
my fact.
your turn, go for it.
You guys have a lot of great ideas. We've talked about fencing the dog park before because the dogs can run quick. That's a great idea. Putting a kiosk up there, maybe to point to local businesses, restaurants, where people are out of town that come in, have places to go eat, instead of just, well, where are we gonna go, you know? More picnic tables down by the waterfront. Those are all great ideas. I'd like to see all of them.
You got two more.
All of the above?
All the above, yeah.
Okay.
No, your floating dock's a great idea.
Walkway. I was told it was a floating walkway. The dock is what, Doug?
What's that?
There's a walkway and there's a floating walkway and then there's a dock, but they're not the same.
Oh, that's correct.
Okay, a floating
Dockage is the water. If you have dockage, or a dock is the section of water. The platform is the walkway. It is not the dock.
I've always called it a dock.
Yeah, me too.
Jacob, I've always called it a dock, but it's not.
Well,
We all
we've learned something new today. But the floating walkway would be cool.
I thought a dock is what you tied your boat to.
Does anyone have anything else they want to add to that? Anything they left out that they think they want to say?
I do. Jerry, on your sand idea, we have
You were
put,
laughing at me when I said that.
that's because we put sand down there and it lasts about 1 or 2 tides and it's gone.
Okay, then I get another.
Yes, you can have another one then. But you already did. You already had an extra one.
What
so.
about medium gravel or river rock?
Are you talking about kind of up above where the high water is?
Oh yeah, well above the tide, so it wouldn't get washed away. That.
Well, in the wintertime, that, and in May, that gets clear up there to the parking lot, so, yeah.
Okay, so you guys don't like that idea then?
Well, no, it's just been done before. We can do it, but
So
it
it's a
just won't
failed-
last.
It's a failed
And
idea.
then Brad swore that it washed into his marina, and that's why he had to dredge it out, so.
Well, he's making a lot of money, so he should be happy. Okay,
Could be the Army Corps of Engineers dumping on the tip of Sand Island.
okay, we're gonna move on to old business, and this is old business. Elise is gonna talk about dog parks.
Yeah, well, so for this year, we had a bunch of, trees taken out at McCormick Park, and it was great because they were cleaned up right away, and the dogs, it was like stick heaven. The dogs, it was amazingly fun, so we all enjoyed that a lot. I just, for this report, I just wrote down what the parks already have and maybe some suggested, additions, you know, assuming they can be afforded and keeping that in mind.
So cool.
So McCormick Park, it already has pretty much everything. It's even got toys like a fire hydrant and a little bridge that the dogs, and a little agility jump that is adjustable, which is really nice because sometimes the bigger dogs go over and you take it out and set it down so the smaller dogs can feel important too and jump the jump. For suggestions, just maybe a sign that just says off-leash area really big, and a kiosk with information about parks, and maybe a sign for the road leading to the park, just maybe alerting drivers to possible loose dogs. And then, eventually one day, if we can ever afford it, a covered check-it launcher station, kinda like they have at Asbury Acres. That's kinda cool. The 15th Street fenced off leash area is really nice. We get a lot of new folks coming to the dog park asking about fenced areas, and we can direct them there instead of telling them to go to Swift Boosters Columbia City. And that's pretty much got everything. It's got running water. It's, you know, the park rules are posted, waste bag dispensers. The only thing that I could see adding, you know, again pending the budget, is maybe a kiosk or bulletin board with, you know, information about the parks. And then Gray Cliffs, it's got a few. It's a nice park, and it's got a lot of stuff in it. The only thing I can see that's like really urgent is, you know, that boundary between the park and the cliff. And then for suggested additions, you know, just widen the gravel path to the top. A sign in the parking lot directing people to the dog park area, a kiosk, and I don't know if it's possible, but, you know, maybe running water there someday. But again, this is all pending budget. But it's been great having the 3 dog parks. They're used, I mean, I'm at the McCormick Park every day at least, and the other parks fairly often, and just chatting with folks, it's, for a lot of people, it's the only place their dog can be off leash, and they really enjoy it, so.
So I see a lot of dogs. Yeah.
At where?
I see a lot of people using that one.
Which one's
All
this?
hours of the day too.
Which
Yeah.
one?
The one by the senior center.
Oh, okay. Tiny Human Park?
Yeah, it's really nice, and it's nice too because there's squirrels occasionally. And it's fun to, when you drive by and see like the brand new puppies that are just learning to be off leash, seeing the squirrels for the first time. That's just like
So Lisa, getting back here to McCormick Park, you said a covered Chuckit launch station.
yes,
Is that just basically a covered area where people can stand?
yeah, kind of. If you go past Asbury Acres
I went
County
that-
Park by the fairgrounds.
I was just there 2 days ago, but I didn't look at the Chuckit.
Oh
covered
yeah,
Chuckit
it's
station.
just 4 posts with a lean-to roof over the top, so you can stand underneath it and stay dry while you throw, you know, tennis balls.
Now, is it
for
big
dogs.
enough that 4 or 5 people can be in it if it's raining with their dogs, or?
If they stood really close together, yeah.
Okay,
They
okay.
might be a little squished.
So it's
but
not really just a covered area then?
It's-
It's more.
It's a small covered area, so like maybe 3 people could be under there at once.
So I think it's just covered for the people, though, right? The dogs don't have it, right?
Yeah, the dogs don't care if they get wet.
It's just that when you throw it, you're not getting wet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that, but I was wondering the size of it, if it was, you know, that's what I was wondering, if it was actually like a big covered area where a bunch of people could stand, or if it's just a little area.
It's just little, maybe 3 people.
Got one question for you, though.
Yeah.
Where you say nature amenities include trees, sticks, squirrels, and creek? What
Yes.
do you mean by squirrels? Squirrels for the dogs to chase?
Oh, yeah.
Well, some of the dogs, well, there's not really all that many squirrels anymore.
Because they get chased.
They do, well, they do
Which
get
is
chased.
not
Oh, I've
really
seen those
kosher.
squirrels taunt dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
They
have.
know they're not getting caught.
But dogs should never be chasing wild animals. If they're chasing squirrels, they could be chasing birds, ground nesting birds, cats, deer. It's just not a good thing, so
I
why.
haven't seen any ground nests, and we do have deer that come through the dog park, usually in the
Mhm.
morning and the evening after the dogs are there. But we know they're there because, you know, they
Oh,
poop
yeah.
in the park and then the dogs want to eat it. So.
Mhm.
But yeah, and the squirrels, the few that come usually know which dogs to run from. Like we have.
You got smart squirrels?
We do. We have squirrels that will, you know,
They do it on
that will run from the bigger dogs, and then we've got these little squirrels that will come down, and you know, if a smaller dog chases them, they'll go up the tree about this far, turn around, and then just start yelling at the
Mhm.
dog and driving them crazy.
Yeah,
So
they taunt them.
yeah,
Yeah,
See, my
that's
dog-
because the dog's in their area.
My dog will just spot the squirrel and stop and just stare.
Uh-huh.
yeah. A lot of dogs do
Tail
that.
starts going like
They
this.
just-
Mhm.
I see the squirrel. I see it.
Because I've had run into people.
Okay, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on from the squirrels. I got a squirrel story, but I won't tell it. Discussion items. The only one I would like to bring up as a discussion item is just because of clarity. And earlier, we were talking about safety at the skate park. And I just like to you know, I didn't really get Doug's, it wasn't really clear to me about liability and safety and everything until it's repaired. I mean, I didn't get good vibes on that or a good understanding on that. Neil? Beth?
I don't know exactly where to go with that either. I mean, I'm not a lawyer or an attorney. You can get sued for anything. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's been that way for a long time, and I think if a kid's telling you that he's playing on something that's unsafe, then he already knows it's unsafe, so why is he playing on it to start with?
So you
But-
think, Neil, that if there's signs there that says this is unsafe to skate on, you're skating at your own risk, you think that
Yeah, and I haven't really heard the safety issues myself personally, so I can't really address them, but, I mean, it's been like this. Skate parks, to be honest with you, in my opinion, are unsafe anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, these kids get pretty wild on them and they get
Right,
hurt.
right,
And that's
right,
just
right.
the nature of that's just the nature of the beast, but,
Most of the kids are all padded up and helmets and.
yeah, yeah.
No.
I'm sure that 20 years ago at the grand opening, a kid broke his arm
Yeah,
at the gigantic grand opening party.
and a brand new one, so.
Well, that's it. And if they're
And
not wearing
besides-
safety gear that they should, then
And we
you
already
can't
have
be held
signs up, right?
responsible.
Yeah.
So-
Okay.
And
if-
Jerry, if you close the skate park down, they'd burn the park down.
Okay, well, if, here's my feelings. If the administration is content with the way the setup is now, then I'm content with it. I mean, I don't think we should protect people from everything, but like Neil said, lawsuits are, you know, sometimes people get pretty thing. Okay, is there any other discussion items?
Should we
anyone
do
would
the
like to
orange, there was talk about doing the orange spray paint on the
Well,
spots.
yeah, bring it up.
Do we wanna, I mean, is that something we should do? I don't know.
How do you guys-
Is it gonna be fixed though by the time the weather's good enough to do the spray paint? You know, I don't know. No.
Well, I don't know, you know, I mean, I don't know how many hazardous areas are there. I mean, I saw the pictures at the last meeting, you know, where I saw you know, the spots at the top. It looked to me like, it seems to me like if they were painted orange or yellow or whatever, that is one way to kind of mitigate the damage. You know, you should stay away from this area. And there's a difference between, you know, you knowing it's a dangerous area and you go there, and you not know it's a dangerous area and you just skate through it. So, Carmen, I think that's a good idea if you want to move forward with that.
Okay.
The thing about it though is you can't do it in the rain.
Well,
You can't-
that's
They
that.
painted the mural.
That's
It's
problem.
barely
We can
dry.
worry
It
about
was,
it.
it was nice, it was a nice day when they did it.
Yeah,
I was
well,
thinking,
we're
"Is
good-
it that
yeah.
concrete?"
Jacob,
Yeah.
we're going to have other nice days. Carmen, where do you
So-
want to go with this? Do you
Yeah.
want to go with a
Yeah.
make a
I'll make a
motion?
motion that on the next nice day that the park staff is able to go and spray a few of the problem areas in the skate park.
Oh, skate park?
Yeah.
Do I hear a second?
Oh, second. Oh.
All those in favor? Aye?
Abstain.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
say aye? Okay.
Aye, yeah.
4, abstain.
Just for your reference, I have a picture of the actual sign that's up at the park, the 4 of them, if someone wanted to.
I'll try to
Okay.
go by there and check it out. I haven't been there for a while. I've just seen the picture in the paper. I haven't seen in the,
I've seen it up close and personal.
okay, old business. Okay, any other discussion items? Go for it.
Mainly just, I wanted to thank them for the beautiful restrooms. I was down there and used the ones at Grey Cliffs the other day. The other one was, I was gonna say, we do have one member from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee that's never even made it to one of our meetings. We need to find out if he's serious or not. And the other one still that I would like to know more about and we need to keep track of is that bank account that the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee has for helmets and stuff. We need to make sure we don't lose track of how that money is there and everything else. I think that's wise for us to learn more about what that money is and what's in that account, wouldn't it, Doug? He's looking.
Yeah.
I thought Matt cleared that up.
I thought you just
Did he?
Send out an email on that, said where
He-
it's from, I think it comes from tourism.
Yeah, and he reported, I think, he reported somewhere, but there's quite a bit of money in there.
Did you pass that around, Sherry, to everybody?
Yeah.
That was right after he was here at the last
Mhm,
deal.
mhm,
Sent the-
Also like to know, I mean, since we're discussing on different things, I hope that it's okay that we occasionally cut ivy off of trees when we find ivy in trees in our park. I don't know
You
if
got
there's,
10,000 people that do that?
what, clear ivy?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to.
About what it'd take.
Well, that's why sometimes we just go do some splurging on ivy cutting and stuff around. Let's see, one last question for Neil. I noticed we got some new bike racks in town. Is he even listening? We got new bike racks. Are those thread locked or something so that somebody just can't undo the bolt and take the bicycles or damage the threads? I've learned in Portland that it's wise to do something to the threads on a bike racks, because if you had a bunch of bikes, somebody could just unbolt it in 30 seconds and run away.
Yeah, I can't answer that, Howard. I'm not sure how Roger fastened them down.
So
I
that
can
may
check
be
into
something
it.
to check into.
Yeah,
is-
I'll check into it for you and get you an answer.
Yeah. And I think that's about it.
Does anyone else have any
I
discussion?
just wanna say one thing real quick. The kids that I talked to at the skate park that day, great kids. You guys, the kids over there are doing a good job, so pass that along to them. They're very friendly, very helpful.
Very good. Anything else? Okay, other business. I have two things. One, when I was on the Arts and Cultural Commission, I spent months getting that bike rack down in the Gray Cliffs Park, the circular one with made out of metal and everything. And I started to bring it up last month, but I forgot. Where does that happen to be?
Answer that?
Still there, isn't it?
I don't think so.
They had to take it out because of the basketball.
Oh, I don't know. Then Roger
I
might.
mean, I hope we didn't lose that because there was lots of time and effort put into that.
It's not lost, it's somewhere.
Okay, then I would, not right now, but somewhere in the future, you know, I'd like to see that reinstated someplace. You know, it's a pretty cool sculpture and it's made out of real heavy metal and,
Maybe the ACC could also take that on as a request.
it's already done. It's just a matter of finding it and, you know, putting it back in again somewhere. It's very strong, it's very pretty. Okay,
Jerry, just to kind of update, the reason that we're brainstorming is how this whole design of Great Cliff Waterfront Park is going to unfold. And then I think then that's when it'd be a good time to pick location for, you know, for the bicycle racks and for other art objects and whatever. And benches,
Well, but-
all those kinds of things.
well, putting in the bike rack, I mean, it was there. I mean, I don't think this is something that should take forever to do. I mean, if we have it, you know, when the park gets repaved.
Right.
Then someone pick a spot that's really, where it's visible and, you know, and put it back in there. 'Cause- And you know, not because you're in arts and culture, I just think it's a matter of, it needs to be, if not in that park, it should be put somewhere.
It's a good bike rack. that
Yes,
deserves
well,
to
it's
be on
more, it's
display.
actually more of, yeah, it's a bike rack, but it's actually,
Never seen a
it's more
bike
of an
one.
art project than it is a bike rack.
But we can get it back in there.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
get it back
okay.
in
After it gets paved, because it's kind of, don't want to put it out there and then
there. Well,
we end up taking it out again.
Yeah, right,
That's my point.
And still
No,
haven't
no,
seen
no,
a
no.
bike tied to it yet, so.
yeah, I mean, when it gets paved and, as long as it's not lost. Okay, everyone on this committee kind of has their own thing. Nob Hill, dog parks, baseball fields. Carmen, I don't know what you're thinking.
Godfrey.
Godfrey. And the subcommittee that's been working on the urban park, thanks to Lisa, next week, we're planning on, next month, We're planning on giving a presentation on the urban trail, a PowerPoint presentation with handouts, and to show everyone what our vision is for this urban trail that's going to be the best urban trail in the area. Right? Does anyone else have any other business?
Field trip, can we plan a field trip to Grace Cliff, or do we wanna wait until
think
the weather's nicer?
I would rather wait a little. My feeling is wait till, because let's see, what's next month? March?
It's Oregon,
Maybe yes.
come on,
Carmen,
guys.
I'm going to give you a mission.
You're down here.
Carmen, your mission is to remind us of a field trip
Okay.
down there. But
I
when
can
we do a
handle
field trip, I think it needs to be part of this meeting, because if we do it at some other time, it just doesn't quite work out. So maybe sometime when we don't have a lot of thing.
Well, we've done field trips before instead of having the meetings.
Yeah, besides
Yeah.
having the meetings. Right.
Especially now that we're meeting monthly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But can you be the one taking responsibility to keep us reminded of that?
Yes.
So we don't forget?
I will remind you every meeting until we have our field trip.
Thank you, Carmen. Does
Is that
anyone
where you
else?
want to go? That Great Cliffs? Is that what you want to take our field
Yeah.
trip to? Oh,
And
okay.
then we also need to do a field trip once we present the urban trail
Yeah.
of that.
And
some of the
I've
key
talked
places
to
for that.
John about Welch, about doing a walk with Jennifer, with Jen,
Mhm.
Tim Shaw,
Mhm.
John, Doug, myself, and the mayor.
Perfect.
And
Let me know when.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And we're gonna try to keep it small and and I've talked to John, he says it's, Mr. Welch, he says it's really a good idea, but that's as far as we've gone. And we're probably gonna wait, for a while and do that. And maybe we could do that maybe somewhere down in the future too. Take a walk. I think that's also a really a good idea. Does anyone else have any other business they want to talk about before we adjourn?
I just have, sorry, a couple things that just popped in my head. Do we have an update on the brochure? Is that done and printed? Do we know? Parks brochure? No. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're done. I thought we handed some out last week, didn't we?
Oh, really?
No.
I wasn't here last time, so.
Weren't they complete? Oh, maybe
No.
they were.
Okay. And then my other thing that I just remembered about was the online scheduling. Was a decision ever made about whether that was gonna go forward or not? Scheduling parks, like reservations, yeah.
Yes.
Sherry
Did that
wasn't
ever
real
go
happy
anywhere?
about it, but
Okay.
it was going to be, right? You weren't real happy about. Oh, no, I'm very happy. Really? Very good. Okay.
I just wasn't sure. So I'll reach out to Matt and try to get more information on those things.
Okay.
Status update.
Sorry, Sherry. Anyone else have anything they want to say? Okay, then the meeting is adjourned.
Yes, I want a meeting.
It's going to be happy out because another neighbor's doing the word one that's going to interfere with our trail.
I guess I
At the
had
end
the
of my
wrong
street
idea
with
about
pavement.
it. I thought he was gonna.
Let me see.